Okay, what we are looking to do on this tutorial is to basically talk you through the action bars. The action bars are what you have down here at the bottom. Okay, this simple meter is an add-on, so I've moved it down to get it out of the way. This general uh, chat usually starts down about like this. All you got to do is left click where it says general, hold your left mouse button down and pull it, and it'll actually pull directly up for you. So we're going to pull him up just to get him out of the way for right now. Now, when you look down at the bottom area, you'll see that we have a couple of little glowing pieces here. What the glowing pieces mean is that there's something that is still to be done in there that you either need, like in the Rift Source says, I have a reward to claim. Under the player, I have a point to spend in my soul. So that's why those are glowing. And what we're going to do is we're going to go across right here, and we're going to click where it says System. Now my system went yellow because I'm running a lot of add-ons and a lot of extra information right now just to record this. So it's going to bounce a little bit between green and yellow. But anytime you hover System, you'll see that you have this little information that pops up that'll tell you performance, add-on memory, add-on CPU. It'll break down the information you have, and then if you have any add-ons, and then it'll tell you at the bottom the latency in milliseconds and the frame rate of how many frames per second you're running. Now the frame rate number at the bottom is also the same as the yellow number at the top of my screen. I use an add-on called Overwolf that does that for me, and it just keeps it all the way up on top of my screen so I can always see what's going on there. So what we're going to do though is we're going to look in this bottom left hand side, and the fifth icon over you're going to have player, then activities, then social, then help, and the fifth icon is going to say system. You're going to click on system, and then you're going to click the very top option that says settings. When you click on settings, it's going to give you this new window that says settings. It's going to pop up for you. It's going to have all this nice information on it. Now I'm going to move this window over here to the side so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to walk out away from the beginning here because for some reason it's got me tied into chat right now. But for some reason they like to have some people that already have everything set in place jumping on top of you. So I'm going to walk down here just a little bit so that you can actually see that my character is standing here and she has no nameplate over her head. A lot of the other characters do, I don't. So in order to fix that, all we're going to do is we're going to click right here where it says Interface, and we're going to click where it says Name. The name's the very first option. Now what that's going to do is it's going to give us this Interface-Names area. The very first option in there is unchecked, says Show Your Name. If you click that and put a little check mark in it, it'll show the name Rosanna right above my character now. So when I move around, you'll be able to see Rosanna stays right above me, just like the NPCs keep their names above them. It makes it real easy to find yourself if you're one of the people that gets lost real easy. So you can do that if you want to. Sometimes I'll put my name above my characters just because I'll join a guild or I want to have quick access, and your guild name will actually appear in that line. Sometimes you want to know if you have certain titles activated, the titles will appear in that line as well. So it makes it real easy. Access is basically the reason that I'll use the Show Your Name option. After the Show Your Name option, you have a lot of others like Show Enemy Pet Names. If you check that, then if somebody named their dire wolf Fluffy, then when you get attacked, you'll see Fluffy come running at you. And you'll see the little name above it, Fluffy, instead of just seeing a wolf coming to try and fight you. So there's options here, and all you've got to do is just hover over them. They tell you exactly what each one does. You can show NPC names. If I uncheck that, you notice that my little guy up here that has the exclamation mark over him to pick up the first quest, his name disappeared. If I check it again, his green name, oh, there it is right back. So if I will run up here, we can see his name is Silver Valis, and if I uncheck this again, Silver Valis disappears, and I just see this little guy standing here with this weird exclamation mark over his head. So by default, that's checked just so that you know who you're trying to talk to in the game. You can click on the Colors tab next. This is basically going to let you choose what different people look like. So I can choose people that are dead right now have a kind of a light gray color to them. Friendly players are a bright blue, hostile players are yellow, party members are light blue. They have all these different shades and colors over here that are activated based on what they are. You have interfaces for item rarity, interfaces for stat modifier text, interfaces for difficulty threats, calling text. Are they a warrior, a mage, a rogue, or a cleric? They start off with the red, purple, green, yellow. Is a breakdown to tell you what each one is. You can actually change all of this, and when you change this, it's going to change different interfaces in the way that things are colored on your screen. So you can toy with that and adjust it to customize the interface to yourself. The third option is nameplates. Under nameplates, you can disable all nameplates, you can disable mechanics, you can disable power bars. So you've got all these different things that you can bring in and take out. Now what a nameplate is, if I disable nameplates, you'll notice my name and this other NPC character name don't disappear. That's because what the nameplate is it's actually the name that appears when you're fighting something, and it shows you the little bar telling you how much damage people are taking or how much life you have left, things like that. So it's kind of a heads-up display right above your character when you're out in the world fighting, instead of having to look up to the far top left corner where your character portrait is to try and see your life and energy or mana or whatever it is you're using. So that's something you can disable if you don't want to see it. I usually don't bother, and I just let it show up whenever I'm fighting. But that's a personal preference, and you can change all the information down here about these nameplates. You can make it to where it only shows in combat. You can make it only when you're harmed. I can make it to where it shows all the time. When I show it all the time, this is what a nameplate looks like. Instead of having my normal name, where it just shows the name, a nameplate is actually going to show up and say, here's my character's name, Rosanna. The top blue bar is my life. The little number 1 in the circle at the end is what level my character is. And the small blue bar underneath of that is going to be my energy, my mana, whatever it is that my character is using. So if you prefer, you can actually set it up to run as a nameplate like this all the time. You can set it up to where it'll never be a nameplate. You can set it up to where only when you take damage the nameplate will show up, or you can show it up to where you only see a nameplate when you're in combat. I usually just leave it toggled to in combat, and I let everything else go as is, just the way it comes in default, which means I'll see my name like it is right now, and then whenever I start to fight somebody, that's the nameplate that I'll see, because my nameplate will appear instead of my name title. So I'm going to leave it in combat, and I'm going to move to miscellaneous. Under miscellaneous, you have a couple of options. The first option is enable AoE looting. When you hover that, it says auto loot multiple corpses in close proximity. What this means is when you kill more than one creature at a time, you can just click a single character and it will loot all of the characters instead of just the one you've clicked. Okay? Now, this works hand in hand with the second option, which is auto loot by default. I'm going to click that as well because most of the time I run around on my own. Whenever I go into a group, I will come back into this and I will disable the auto loot by default so that when I click on something I have to choose what it is that I'm picking up, and that way I'm not taking things that don't make sense. But what the AoE looting is going to allow me to do is, by doing both of these, having both the first and second options chosen, while I'm out single fighting everything, while I'm trying to level by myself, I can attack 2, 3, 4, 5 different things, and as long as they all drop in close proximity, which is probably a range of about where I am to maybe where those 2 guards in front of me are standing with the red uniform skirts on the backs of them. What would happen is when I right-click any one of the corpses in that area, I would get all of the corpses in that area. Anything that any of these corpses, if I had killed these 3, any of them have, I will right-click this one and I will take everything that all of them have, instead of having to click each individual corpse by itself. So I usually turn those on. Head tracking. I can click right here. Let's see. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to choose somebody else. I'm going to choose this character that's walking right here, this Defiant Technician. If you notice, as she walks, you'll see that my character's head turns to follow where the little green arrow is. Okay? I can walk this way. The head turns. I turn my character, but the head continues to try and turn to look towards the target. Now, if I turn too far away, she's not going to go turn into the Exorcist on us and like start turning her head around 360 degrees. She says, "No, I'm human. I still can only turn my head so far. So you've turned my back to her. I can't look at her. But as soon as I turn back to where she's in any range, my character will immediately start following her with her head again." This is a default setting, which is head tracking. If I turn head tracking off, then it doesn't matter who I've targeted. My character will not look towards them. But with head tracking on, I will always look towards the character I'm dealing with. This is useful sometimes just to help you see exactly who it is that you're targeting, and other times it's useful when you're doing things like RP, where it's only considered polite to look at the person you're talking to. So this is a feature that's in here under the miscellaneous that you can select if you like it. There's another option just under that says click to move. Now, a lot of people have played games like RuneScape before, where you click on the ground to tell it where you want to go. The people that are used to games more like World of Warcraft or Star Trek Online, some of these types of games, you'll have the standard WASD as your movement keys, or the arrow keys, or sometimes both, that'll allow you to move your character around. So I usually use the WASD keys, but if I wanted to be able to just click on the ground where I want to go, I can select this click to move, and just by clicking up here by the mailbox, I can click there, and my character's going to run right up here by the mailbox. So it sets it up to operate a lot more like the games like Terra, RuneScape, games like that you're a little bit more used to, where you might click to go where you want to go instead of moving around on your own with strafing and other abilities of that nature. So it is available to you. I usually leave that turned off though. If you disable auto sheath, you notice how my hammer and my shield are directly on my back and they're put away right now. If I disable auto sheath, what that does is it's going to make it to where my character will not automatically sheath weapons after they're done fighting. They'll always return like this is, and the shield will go back on my back, the weapon will go down to the side every time I'm done fighting. If you have a big broadsword that's two-hand sword, it goes across your back. But this is considered the sheathed position. If you do not want that to happen and you want your character to be more like a super glue doll kind of character where you super glued the weapons into their hands, you can just click right here where it says disable auto sheath, and when you're done fighting, the weapons will never be put away. You have a show additional overhead NPC icon. What we're going to do here is we're going to run outside real quick so that we can show you what this is talking about. It's not going to be over every single character, but what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and click this, and when we do, we'll notice nothing new appears over Dacia Olten here, but over top of Mark and Valos, we see this little plus symbol appear, a little white plus and a green circle. Now, that little icon, I can toggle it off again, but what that little icon is it's just an easy way to be able to find people that are basically soul healers, bankers, auctioneers, people that you can trade with in the who you can sell your gray items to, things like that in the game. So it makes it really easy. I usually leave it toggled off just because at first when I first started playing, I didn't know about that and I never used it. But I do have people that I know where I've showed them that, and they've said that that makes it a lot easier when they're playing their character. Now I'm going to run back down here into the little starting area. And you have two more options down at the bottom of this, and we can skip these because the first is show detailed add-on error messages, and unless you have a bunch of add-ons and know what you're really doing, this isn't going to really help you, so we just leave them unchecked. And the second is hide add-on error window. When you start running all these add-ons, Rift is actually one of the nicer games. It tells you this add-on no longer works with us, or this add-on's out of date, you need to update it. And that's what these two options right here are telling you. So we'll go ahead and we'll skip beyond that. We'll go over into combat. Your very first option in combat is auto self-cast. The auto self-cast is something that's kind of useful because if I'm clicking to heal myself, but I'm not I'm clicking a heal button, but I'm not targeting anybody, I'll heal myself. Whereas otherwise, I have to click myself to click heal, or click the person I'm trying to heal so that I can heal that person. In this case, I can just click the heal button, and if I don't have somebody selected, it'll automatically heal me. So I just usually go ahead and leave that on. Now you've got the same thing here. Cast an ability on target's target. Say that you're running around with somebody. Say that the Saddam OS person that just ran into my screen is in my party, and they're targeting somebody, and I want to help them attack what they're attacking. If I have this ability toggled on, I can simply target Saddam OS by clicking on him, and when I try and attack, I won't try and attack my own party member. What it'll do is it'll redirect my attack from him to whatever it is he's targeting. And that's what I'm going to try. That's the only reason that you would want to use this. So you've got these different options, and every one of these, you can show targets of target. You can use a sticky target that'll lock your target in place so that when you start hitting something, you're going to keep hitting the exact same one instead of multiple targets. I mean, you can really just scroll over these, and they'll tell you pretty much exactly what each one does. The PvP auto flag, I always leave this off unless I'm on a PvP server, simply because if you take any PvP action, which means you try to attack any player, you try to attack any NPC or anything, it'll automatically turn your PvP on. And I try to keep that off unless I'm on PvP servers, because I'm worried more about PvE, which is the environment, the raids, the dungeons, enjoying the storylines, the RP elements. I'm usually focusing more on these concepts when I'm in all the other shards, which are the name that Rift uses for servers. So unless I'm on a PvP server, I really don't bother this. You can ignore duel requests. I know that sometimes I'll be running around and I'll see 2, 3, 4 different people try to duel request me at the same time. It was always a very annoying feature when I would be running in like World of Warcraft and I'd get duel request decline, and I had to click decline. Duel request would pop up again. I had to click decline again. Another person would hit me with a duel request. I had to click decline again. What they've done is they've just put an option in here where you can click this, and every time that somebody tries to duel request you, it'll just ignore them. It won't even pop it up on your screen, or it won't bother you with it. So that's an option that you do have. There is a help option, and what this does is this gives you a tutorial series of tips. Now these tips are basic information, so it's like when you first get started, it'll tell you a little bit about your moving. It'll tell you, oh, when you have this little green exclamation mark, it's one of them that's at the very start. I went ahead and closed it, but the green exclamation mark tells you that that is a quest giver who has a quest available for you. A blue bubble with a little white text bubble in it, like someone's talking, is basically saying that you have a quest objective to talk with that character, or that character can talk to you about a quest that you're on. A gray exclamation mark means that you are not high enough yet to be able to do that quest. A gray check mark will mean that it's ready to be turned in, but you've not completed all the objectives. And a blue check mark, a blue bubble with a check mark in it, means that you have completed all the objectives and you're ready to turn that quest in. But if at any time you get confused and you want some base level help, then you can always go to Interface, Help, and reset your tutorial right here and just click that button and it'll reset that for you. I'm going to skip the action bars here, and I'll come right back to that. I've got 2 more things that we want to look at before we hit the action bars, and then the action bars is really what a lot of people are going to want to know about here, I'm sure. But what we're going to go to first is we're going to go over to social. You have enabled chat bubbles, okay? So if I say enable chat bubbles, I hit the enter key and I say hello. What happens is you'll see a little bubble pop up above my head that says hello. And if I don't want that to show up, then all I have to do is I can click right here where it says enable chat bubbles, take that away, hit enter again, and be like, now I'm comic free. No chat bubbles. And when I hit enter now, what happens is it goes into my text chat, but you notice there's no bubble above my head like a cartoon or a comic book telling me what's going on. So you can actually click right there and you can make that kind of option where you can put the bubbles above your head or not. Next you have a profanity filter. Now, profanity is something that changes as you go around the world. Some people consider certain words bad. Some people consider that same word to be part of normal everyday speech. Some people say, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a bad word at all. So something that one person might consider a racial or a sexual slur, another person might turn around and say, what are you talking about? I'm talking about an object. Yeah, I mean, y'all have some really weird terms where you all live. So because of that, the profanity filter is a universal profanity filter. So leaving it on will filter out a lot of terms. This means that while it does filter out what you might consider as curse words, it'll also filter out words that you might consider as being 100% normal and everyday words, so that when you type in something that you think is a normal statement, it'll actually asterisk it out. Okay, and all it's going to do is, instead of typing the word that you write, it's going to put a series of asterisks in place of it. That's what the profanity filter does on here. So you can turn that on or off simply by checking the box in front of it. It starts by being turned on. So it is a very user-friendly, kid-friendly kind of a setup from the beginning. You also have the option right below that of friend log on or log off notifications. It's checked by default, which means anybody that you have on a friends list, when they log in or when they log out, it'll automatically show up in your general chat window over here. So you'll be able to scroll, and as long as you scroll down to the bottom, when they log in and log out, it'll actually pop up right here as a new line on your chat window. You can also go up, and on the second column over here, you have enable party chat bubbles. Your party chat bubbles are going to let the same bubble, comic book bubble, appear above all your party members, or not appear, and keep it all in the general chat over there for you to be able to read there. And then guild member log on or log off notifications are the last option out of the social interface. Beyond that, you also have the status text. Now, the status text is something that a lot of people don't even think about. I go up here and I have Rosanna's character portrait up here at the top. When I look at her character portrait up here by the yellow numbers on the screen, I see a green bar and a blue bar. If I hover over them, I can see 90 of 90, 185, 185 for the mana and the life. Okay, the health and the mana respectively are showing there. But when I move my mouse away, the numbers go away as well. Same thing's true of my experience bar down here. I have a 100 of 1321 as my experience bar. I need to get that experience to 1,321 to be able to level my next time. But by default, I just see a little bar with a blue, so much of the bubble filled in blue instead of gray. Now, as I go around on this interface status text, I can click player, and when I do, my life and my mana appear on the character portrait, and they start showing up. I can click pet, and it'll do the same thing for my pet, show me how much life is available on my pet if I had a pet. Now, right now, I do not have a pet set up on this character. But if I did, then if it was a druid fairy, or if it was, which is a cleric, or if it was a mage's elemental, like a rock golem, then it'll tell me exactly how much life and how much energy or mana they have as well. I can do the same thing right here for party. That'll tell me whenever I'm in a group how much life and mana each party member has. Target of target. Again, if you really want to get in depth, you can do this. I usually leave this one alone. I usually do check the target because that tells me whoever I'm clicking on, I can see exactly how much they have. Now what this means, I'm going to click on this person right here, Zard, and you'll see that I've pulled up their character portrait and it shows the 90 and 100, but I can't see anything. But if I click on target right here, now I can see now I can see what they have as well. I click on focus. That means if I'm focused on something, it's going to do the same thing. Now my experience bar is the third option. My experience bar, that's the numbers right down here in the experience bar where it says 100 of 1321. And when I click that, it's automatically in place. Now the last option we have is display percentages. I always check this because I notice that a lot of people will say, well, I have 90 hit points, and other people will say I have 100% life. Because of this, I always check this so that I have both my hit points and my number of life, or and my percent of life, or I have the number of points that I have in as far as what I'm trying to get to in my experience bar, or I have the percentage of the experience bar that I have completed. So I can look at it and I can say, I have 100 experience. Well, that's great. I have 100 experience, but 100 experience is a lot different at level 1 than it is at level 9. So if I'm on level 1 with 100 experience, I'm at 7%. By the time I get up to a level 9, 100 experience points, I might be sitting at like 1% or even 0%, because it's going to have so much more experience that's required just to continue to level me up. So I always go ahead and enable the percentages. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click apply here. You don't have to, but I'm going to go ahead and click apply to save all the changes that I've made. And then I'm going to go and click OK. Now, this little tooltip, if you remember when we were looking in the system settings, we had the option under interface for help. And it said tutorial tips. They're going to give you little tips that'll pop up like this that'll help you. So what this is it's going to show up like this. I'm going to see this little brownish colored globe with a question mark on it. And that question mark is a tutorial tip alert. So if I click it, it tells me, hey, you've clicked a friendly player. And it tells me a little bit about how I can interact with a friendly player. So I can just X out of that. But you can read that information as you're going around. If you don't know it, then it's easy enough to learn. And you'll have all the information you need. Now, with all of the information that I've covered here, that gets a lot of the settings that people are having problems with, except for one that everybody asks about. And that last point is called action bars. The action bars in Rift, we have this one action bar across the bottom, and a lot of people seem to think that these 12 options down here are literally the only options you get in the game. And that's not true. You can go into System, you can go into Settings, and if we go to Interface, and then we move down to where it says Action Bars, the Action Bars section gives us this whole area. And we have all these different options of how we can change the action bars. I'm going to move this over to make it a little bit easier for us. But what I'm going to do is say that we wanted 2 action bars instead of 1. I can say that and I'll immediately get a second action bar. Okay? I'm going to set up all 7 action bars right now instead. Now I've already preset these action bars to go where they are. And I will explain to you in just a moment how I've done that. But the way that I usually run everything is I run 7 action bars on the bottom and 4 action bars on the side. So I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to put my action bars on the side and my action bars on the bottom. Now when I put my action bars on the side, I can share these action bars, which means on every single character that I play, these action bars are going to be the same. On every single role I play in this character, my action bars are going to be the same. This does not mean that if I switch from this character to another character, these action bars are going to stay like they are. Okay? These action bars will be different for every character you make. But what we're doing is we're setting up the action bars for this character only right now. I will show in a later tutorial how you can adjust it to where other characters will be able to use the same action bar design as this character has. But for right now, we're only worried about this character. You're going to find that you have a number of things called roles in this game. And what it is your initial role is the 3 souls that you start with. Now, if I locked my action bars across the bottom, that's where I tend to put my role-specific action bar capabilities, my actions and my abilities. So I don't want to lock that, because if I'm setting up here to where I use melee weapons, then my melee weapons are going to be locked into those action bars, and then I switch to another role where that role is entirely a ranged DPS build, then that ranged DPS build is going to have all these action bars locked into place, and I'm going to have the abilities that make no sense to my character. Now because it's locked, when I move that out and I try and move the other abilities in, what's going to happen is when I try and come back to this initial build that I had and switch back to role 1 instead of role 2, I'm going to have all the ranged abilities instead of all the local abilities. So you don't want to lock these action bars across the bottom. The reason that you might want to use the shared side action bars is because in the shared side action bars, what I suggest is using your mounts, your ascended abilities, dimensions that your character has, things like that. That's just quick access, that's ease of access for you. And then across the bottom, all of that's going to be your actual abilities for your character. So once we've done this, we're going to say, yeah, we're going to set this up. I'm not going to lock any of this right now. I'm going to leave it all unlocked. I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click OK. Now, if you've clicked OK to 7 bars, and you've clicked OK to all 4 on the side, what you're going to end up with is not the preset that I have. You're going to end up with something that looks a little bit different. Yours is going to look a lot more like get this here real quick. Okay, I'll save that. You're going to have something that looks a lot more like this on your screen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to make the adjustment to put everything back the way that I wanted it. So if I go into Edit Layout, usually I'll have, if it's the first time, you'll have a pop-up box right here. What you'll find is you're going to have to click on this box right here. It's the third box down on the far right of your ability bar stack. And if you click that and just drag it off to the side, okay, then you'll be able to release that and you'll be able to click the red X that will now be hovering out in the game world instead of over an ability bar. What you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to go where it says ability bar 2. You're going to want to click that and you're going to want to pull that entire thing over here to where it is sitting just above the number 9. The way that we can find that real easy is that our buff, the little snowflake buff, was sitting in the number 8. So we're going to center this above number 9. Then we're going to go back up here to where the ability bar 5 is the third ability bar down. We're going to click on that and we're going to drag it down and put it into place. The tooltip actually starts over here connected to the sidebar. So you'll just click on that little tooltip bar and you can move the tooltip anchor down to the bottom like this. As you're moving these items around, what you'll find is that each item attaches to another item. So I can take this right here and I can take the breath fatigue bar, and when I move it down I'll get this little green bar. I can offset it and it's still attached. You'll see the green flashing bar telling me it's still attached. So it's going to attach based on how I set it up. I can take each item and it's kind of like a magnetic Lego set. As I move them around, what you'll see is that each item magnetically tries to attach to the next one using these green bars. And you can set all these things to move them around to whatever setting you prefer for the way that you play. Now, if I move this Edit Layout button, what you'll see is Group Portrait 1, 2, 3, and 4. When I go into a party, what I'm going to see is I'm going to see each group party member where it says Group Portrait. So I've got my player portrait at the top, and the other 4 players in my party are going to appear where it says Group Portrait 1, Group Portrait 2, Group Portrait 3, and Group Portrait 4 right below me. Off to the side of each one of those portraits is a pet portrait. So if that player has a pet, their pet information is going to appear just outside of theirs. So it's going to appear right beside their character information. This will allow us to see exactly how everybody is interacting. And I can see exactly a heads up of everything going on. If you remember, we set everything up to where it's going to tell us numbers and percentages. So when those portraits appear for the group portrait and the pet portrait, I'm going to see the numbers and percentages on life, on mana, on energy, so that I know exactly what I'm doing. So if I'm a healer and I see somebody that's really low in life, I don't have to look at 2 green bars and go, oh crap, 2 of them are low, what do I do? Instead, I can look at it and say one of them is sitting at 10% and the other one's sitting at 30%, so I'm going to heal the one at 10% first. And it helps you out a little bit just to have those numbers up so you've got a quick display to see what's going on. Likewise, if you're a support and you're doing off heals, you can see a 10% and a 30%. You know the main healer is going to go after the 10%. So as an off heal, you can heal the 30% down to try and help out. So it's a very useful piece to have in play. But once we have all of these action bars set, and we've clicked, and all you got to do is just click and hold the mouse button. You can move these things around. You can find where you want them. The streaming indicator, I think, starts over here somewhere. And what I do is I just put it to the middle so that if my game ever tries to download something on me while I'm running around, it's going to be pretty much centered to my screen. And you just move these things basically where you feel like they should be on your screen. Make it so that it's comfortable for you. And then once you have everything in place, just click the save button. Now what you'll see is that all of these bars are available for me to move all of my different buffs and abilities onto. So the next step that I need, and the last step I need to try and get myself ready to be able to play, is I'm going to hit the letter P on my keyboard. This brings up my abilities menu. And under the abilities menu, you're going to have general, then you're going to have 3 soul builds, then you're going to have ascended powers. Now I've already gone in, and what I do is on the far right side of the main action bar, you have a toggle to go to previous and next bars. I always go to bar 6, and I use that for my general skills of my professions. That's fishing, survival, and then as I get others, mining, foraging, butchering, rune crafting, outfitter, dreamweaver, whatever else I'm doing, I can put those into this bar number 6. Then bar number 5 I have as my tracking / decrafting bar. And what I mean by that is I have the option of track fish. When I do mining, I'll get track ore. If I foraging, I will get track wood and track plants. And these will all go down here into my action bar on number 5. When I get something such as outfitter or rune crafter, in an outfitter I'll get an armor break option that'll break it down into parts. I can put that onto bar number 5 and it'll break down the armor for me. Likewise, on the rune crafting, I can have a rune break option. And what that does is it takes anything that's green in the game, any armor that has a green color to it, and it'll break it down into dusts, powders, shards, crystals, different things that I'll use to create the runes that I need for the game. So I'll move all those down here onto bars 5 for my tracking and my decrafting, and bar 6 for all of my crafting skills. And then I'll go to bar 1, and this is my attack area. So let's go ahead, now that I've moved all of my general skills down that I want. And you, like I said, you can move them around different if you want to. That's just the way I do it. But we're going to move down to the Justicar abilities. The very first option is Strike of Judgment. Strike of Judgment is already in my number 1 position, so I do not need to move that onto my bar. The second one is a buff. It says Salvation. But if you'll notice, it also says right under Salvation and beside the little icon, it says Passive. Anything that's passive does not need to be on an action bar, so I don't need to worry about this one. It's something that's automatically going to be going just because I have the Justicar soul. So I'll go down and I'll click on Shaman next. When I click on Shaman, I'll see this first option under damage. It says Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow gives me 32 to 36 damage. It's instant, requires a melee weapon. When I come down and look, I only have Strike of Judgment. It again is instant, deals 32 to 36 damage, but it requires a melee weapon. This is life damage, whereas this other one is just plain out damage. Now, there's not a lot of difference here, but some people might want to have both, and if you do, all you do is you just click the icon here and you drag it down onto the action bar, release the mouse button, and it'll drop it on the action bar for you. The Vengeance of the Winter Storm is a buff. I already have that down here in my action bar, so I don't need it. So I'll move on to Inquisitor. Now Inquisitor has 2 damage abilities that I do not have. I have a Bolt of Judgment and a Vex. The Bolt of Judgment tells me it takes 2 seconds to cast, deals 52 to 57 life damage, and has a range of 30 meters. The Vex says that it's an instant cast, meaning that as soon as I click it, it happens. it deals 89 death damage over 15 seconds. So this is a damage over time effect. And it has a range of 30 meters. Now, you're going to be able to move these into your bars in a manner that makes sense to you. For me, I'm going to say standard damage abilities are going to go directly above my standard melee damage abilities. This one's just range, so it's going to sit just above it, because that's not my main attack type. And I'm going to take Vex, and I'm going to move him over here. I'm going to see him above the number 7. Well, I'm going to see him above the number 6, I think. And what that is that's going to be a damage over time that I can access real easy. Now, when I go over to my Ascended Powers, which is the last option we have here, I'm going to have an Ascended Resurrection. You can put this wherever you want. You can put it down at the bottom down here, or you can put it up a little ways. What I did is I moved up a little bit, allowing for the fact I'm going to have some keys, and I'm going to have some mounts up in here, and I'm going to have all these different things, both higher and lower. So I usually put my Ascended Powers kind of mid-range over here on the side. I can take my break free, and I can put it into place, and these things are just basically a matter of you can move them into place. If you place one and you don't want it there, just like I did before, you can just click right here, drag it out away from the action bar, and it'll just delete it off of there for you. So you can put things on and take them off until you get the action bars the way you want. If you've said, oh, I meant to have this higher, you can click it and move it higher. So you can make the action bars look exactly the way you want just by moving them around. Okay? After you've got everything the way you want it, you just hit this X button, and you'll be ready to go ahead and start playing. Now, I play with my action bars unlocked, so that if I have something that comes in and I go, oh, that's not where I wanted this, I actually wanted it one over because I want something else here, then I can just click and drag it and I can make that change. Some people, however, do not like to play with their action bars unlocked. So if I click on System, then I click on Settings, I click on my Interface, and Action Bars, you'll notice that the second checkbox down says Lock Ability Buttons. If I click that and click Apply, now if I go down here to Vengeance of the Winter Storm and I left click and try and drag, it will not move. This is helpful because if you're in the middle of fighting and you're somebody that clicks and tries to move your mouse real quick, you'll actually catch yourself sometimes clicking an icon and trying to drag it if you don't click and release before you move your mouse button. And some people get excited when they're fighting and they'll click and hold the button down too long and they'll drag it. And they say, oh, I just destroyed my build. I've got to move everything back. I'm sorry, guys. And some people just want to avoid that. So what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll put everything into their action bar. They'll come in, they'll lock the abilities like this so they don't move them. The only issue that you'll have if you decide to lock your action bars is that every time that you get a new ability, you'll be able to pull it into your action bar, but it's going to take unlocking the action bar to move everything around the way you want it, and then coming back in and relocking the action bar again afterwards. So now that my action bar is locked, I would have to go to System, Settings, Interface, Action Bar, uncheck Lock Ability Buttons, click Apply, click OK. Now I can move things around again. Then once I've got everything in place, I'd have to go System, Settings, Interface, Action Bars, Lock Abilities again, Apply, OK. Now they're all locked and I can't move them again. So if you want to go back and forth like that, then you're welcome to. Personally, instead of doing this all the time, I just go to the interface, and when I'm setting up my action bars, I leave them unlocked. And I'm just careful not to hold the mouse button. I will from time to time still make a mistake and drag an icon one time, maybe one square or something. When I do, I just say, oh crap, I messed up, I've got to go back and fix it. But I find it's a lot easier to just hit the P button and drag what I want back into place than it is to go through the whole process of settings, interface, action bars, check or uncheck, click apply, click OK, just to make it so I can adjust my action bars. So this will set everything up. I'm going to run up here so that she is standing beside my first quest giver, so the next tutorial will actually start into how to play the game instead of just how to create your character and get everything set. I hope this tutorial has helped, and we will also have a text version of a tutorial available on our website that you can follow along as well if you prefer. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed.